Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another commentary done by Diggity. This is BSL 17 Hasuleague round of 16 Group B, the final match of the winners grouping of the winners match. Final match of the winners match. Feels redundant to say that. 12 o'clock location. We have Range starting as the pink Protoss. Bottom left hand corner, we got Urbmon starting as the white Zerg. This is on Apocalypse, which could, come on, click the thing. Click the thing. There we go. Which could create some trouble for... wrong direction, for Range, because the natural expansion is quite wide. We'll see if he decides to go for a Forge First opener once again, but this is... we know Urbmon can execute some pretty solid Zergling run-bys, and this is very run-buyable. And this is a large amount of... there's all sorts of area to create havoc with initial Zerglings. First pylon going down. Looks like an Overlord is going to get first scout on Range's position. Before I get too far, I do want to announce, if you go to Team Liquid, and I presume this is going to get posted on Reddit as well, but Arianok, who is a friend of the channel, is once again going to be doing Chatland in Chicago this summer. Go ahead and check out, I believe it is starting around July 6th, somewhere around that direction. So the largest open LAN, I believe is expanding it to other locations as well, and I really like the initiative to go ahead and make this sort of thing happen. So check that out if you are interested, or in particular if you're in the Midwest and it's an easy travel for you. In the meantime, looks like we have a overpool one, or actually overpool but with a canceled drone from Urbmon, but an initial scout from Range. So I'm going to be able to scout this overall. Seeing that initial drone that drone posturing right there, I believe he's going to go for the initial 6 Zerglings. And he is tacking on gas at the 203 mark, maybe to go for a 2-hatch Mutalisk follow-up on top of this. So we'll see. Initial Zealot is being produced. This is a gateway first opener, but this could still be a tough defense for Ranged as far as being able to clutter up that natural expansion. The Zerglings, one Zergling peeling off to deal with this probe at the main. Looks like it is going to be a drone follow-up. So just the initial Zerglings to go ahead and press the front. We have Probe and Zealot positioning. Zergling's kind of taking a... never mind, that's the proper path. Ignore me. For some reason, why aren't they going through here? Because you can't go through there. Range now dropping a Forge to follow up. This is still not a full gap. And not quite in position. The Probe's getting wiped out. The Zergling's now going to be able to run free. And more Probes. Well, never mind. Okay, there we go. 3 probes instantly getting taken out. They were occupied. Well, never mind. That last probe able to dance out. But initial damage, and damage that happens in the early game ends up stacking further and further the late game as well. This probe still trying to get the scout out. Looks like we do have a hatchery follow-up and another drone making, walking out to go ahead and go for the third. More Zerglings wreaking, or I should say, the Zergling's able to get some additional damage on top of everything else. And this pylon actually is potentially at risk. So the Zealot's going to have to really occupy... yeah, they're going to have to dance around and occupy a lot of space. Another Zergling wiped out, but this is still 4 Zerglings free. 1 Zealot camping now along the mineral line to try it. Well, never mind, going to back out. That could open things along that edge. But this creates a lot of problem for Range, where he has to basically engage these Zerglings at all fronts. And as you can see, he can continue to interrupt mining, getting another Zergling kill. Pretty solid defense thus far. And able to get another Zergling, so that just leaves 2 in the main. And I gotta say, Range took some significant damage here, but this could have been a lot worse as far as a follow-up. Is gonna end up losing that scouting probe here to the 6 o'clock, but we got 2 Zealots marching out. And did Urbmon build any additional Zerglings to contend with this? It looks like the answer is no. So now he might have the counter problem of the Zealots able to wreak a massive amount of damage here at the natural expansion. So this certainly, I believe this is gonna catch Range back up, because this is denying that natural expansion for a considerable amount of time. That's a lot of mining that's going to end up lost. It's going to force some more Zerglings out. This is just, 4 Zerglings currently, so it'll be 6, and the Zealots should be able to handle this without too much trouble. Urbmon trying to reposition the drones in here. And the Zealot's getting some great trap in, unfortunately for Urbmon, the positioning of that drone working against him. The Zealots now pocketing themselves behind the mineral lines. Might... honestly, at this stage, it's He's already expended a little bit too much in Zerglings, so it looks like he's going to do it with Zerglings, but sometimes I wonder if a Sunken Colony would be better. But ranged, at least able to get some counter damage done. Still hasn't started mining his natural expansion, but is stabilized somewhat in a pretty decent probe position. 3 Zealots now out in the front. The Zealots marching out, looking to get some additional kills. Not at the best time. Solid defense from Urbmon, wiping that out. 6 o'clock base is up, but so a lot of chaos both directions. Looks like some gas has been mined. No tech to layer, so Urbmon is actually going to be forced now, and he just now starting to mine gas again. He's going to be forced with this Stargate in construction to make his way towards Hydralisk tech. So he's at the very least going to need to go 3. It looks like this is 4 hatch Hydra, but needs to get a move on as well with that Hydralisk den to have sufficient defense to deal with some initial Overlord damage. So there's the Hydralisk den now on the front. Overlord going to go ahead and push in and sacrifice itself. I think this is there is another Overlord out in the field currently, so that could be 2 Overlords and a nice prize. Urbmon not finding, so it's going to take a minute. He is going to be able to position it to find the Stargate, but critically he's going to note that there's no +1 weapons, and it looks like a Citadel of Adun behind that. So Urbmon going to get an eyeful of information, although he isn't positioning along that edge to confirm the Citadel of Adun. 2 additional photon cannons dropping, I think ranged, recognizing that with the Mutalisks not engaging right this second out in the forward field, that it was going to be a Hydralisk follow-up, and wanted to make sure that it wasn't turning into any form of bust. Cannon's a bit forced because he's in the dark. I wonder if he's going to dedicate even a 4th cannon, actually, in the midst of this. Evolution Chamber being dropped here at the 6 o'clock. Some Zerglings there in between. It looks like the Corsair going to ignore the near side Overlord. Instead, going to dive right at that natural expansion to try to see what it can find. Hydralisks there in the nick of time to defend the Overlords. I'm going to get a good look at, first of all, the lair just starting, but also decent saturation otherwise. Now trying to group up and take out that Overlord at the forward position. This Overlord looks like it's going to be able to skirt death at the very least. So 1 Overlord sacrifice, that's the one you expect to lose. This Corsair is still trying to see if it can find something else out in the field. This Overlord's still at risk, potentially, but I could see Urbmon moving out a couple Hydralisks to defend this should he need to. Tacking on a 2nd gas. No 3rd gas as of yet. Has a Sunken Colony to help defend right this second. +1 weapons delayed, but on the way. And now that everything stabilizes, we're seeing that Gateway flood behind this. So range gonna work on 2 base. It looks like with some dark, maybe go straight to High Templar. I've seen players oftentimes skipping the Dark Templar and going straight to High Templar with this. That's kind of the norm these days, is stick on 2 bases, get a massive flood, and try to outscale your Zerg opponent. If they stick to 3 and are playing greedy, it puts a little bit more pressure on your Zerg opponent to do so. I believe this is the Overlord making it back. We'll give him a name because he saw battle. We'll be Brad. We'll name him Brad, because why not? Brad the Overlord makes it back home. Maybe I should name hatcheries. Anyway, that is going to be the 6th hatchery out for Urbmon. Lair is up. He is going to drop a Spire. And the Zealots now with Zealot leg speed marching out across the map. Corsair poking itself a little bit too early, but noticing the defenses here at the 6 o'clock with this potentially going to redirect to the natural. There's no sunken underneath, or sorry, there is a sunken underneath this, but that natural expansion a bit exposed, and at least 1 drone loses its life trading for a Zealot. The Zerglings creating some chaos between point A and point B. Urbmon holding fast on both locations. There's a single Hydralisk initially drawing out, but pulling back, and this is a... All right, seeing a good amount of gateways here. So this is going to be 6 + 7 with that one on the front. Armor working its way up as well. A few Corsairs being constructed in between. Sidestorm going to be finished. The drone was thinking about going out and taking additional base, but it looks like the Zealot going to currently blockade that. The Zerglings marching their way that direction to go ahead and clear that. Corsair getting good scouting information in the meantime. I wouldn't put it past Urbmon to go for a tech switch and go for a Mutalisk backstab. Preventative photon cannon being dropped from range, noticing that that Spire is in fact constructing, just to try to negate that possibility. The Zealot able to sneak out briefly. More Zealots marching that direction to go ahead and prevent that from being a potential option. Yeah, additional cancel. Urban going to try to hide that drone. The Zealot's going to fall for it there, though. They're marching here, seeing nothing. Corsair's, never mind, that's a Zealot making its way back. The Hydra is starting to march up. This is good play from range, delaying that fourth hatchery considerably. Zerg needs a fourth base to contend with these sort of gateway floods, and they need them sooner rather than later. So this is forcing Urbmon instead to... Okay, he is going to go ahead and grab that additional base, but I'm wondering if that, even with that little bit of a delay, if it's going to end up being too late. Urbmon with a pretty solid economy now. Overlord speed being upgraded. Aren't seeing anything Spire-wise, at the very least. And a Dark Templar marching out in the field might be able to get some damage done before Overlord speed is finished. And is there an Overlord anywhere near this Hydralis grouping? It looks like not. Dark Templar able to get a Zergling right there, but also... Actually, I think if it's a straight kill, I don't think it ends up... Let's see if Urbmon sees this Dark Templar making its way this direction. Speed just finishing. There, that Dark Templar making its way up. Some Hydralisks there to engage it. So it does get wiped out. Not sure if that was even on Urbmon's radar, though. It looks like a lot of that happened latently. And now we are seeing that tech switch to Mutalisk. 9 Mutalisks being constructed. We do have 5 Corsair, but the Corsair do not have +1 weapons. And they would get overwhelmed without the aid of some Psystorm in the midst of this. Now we have a shuttle making its way up. Does Urbmon recognize this? Unfortunately for range, yeah, an Overlord making its way this direction. It looks like it's going to be a Zealot drop. Rather than Dark Templar or something along those lines. It provides the detection, though, to see the Mutalisks taking the field. And seeing those Mutalisks, range should recognize immediately that he should drop some cannons at his natural or his main. I'm not seeing that happen as of yet, or produce some additional Corsair. He's building a grouping of Dragoons right now. He's got some additional Dragoons out there, but he needs to be very, very careful because these Mutalisks have a lot of position where they can go for a lot of damage at the main or the natural. It looks like they're sweeping up, and also the High Templar not protected mid-map. I always say they're going, they could backstab the main, but honestly what they're utilized for, I should mention that they're primarily utilized for this purpose, which is picking off High Templar. Ooh, Psystorm clearing some of them up. I do want to get back to the era where it's a threat at the main. That you'll see Striker do that quite often. Ignore me. I'm just in Striker brain is what it comes down to. Typically, that's the purpose. Pick off the High Templar. He was able to do that in spades. Definitely worth the gas. More Corsair making the way across. Some Overlords potentially exposed. Gonna eat some damage as they're floating around. At least able to get some scouting information. It looks like a big Dragoon force making its way. +1 weapons, +1 armor. +1 weapons is finished. Army making its way uphill. Unfortunately, the Dragoon's still stuck on the low ground along that right-hand side. A good Psystorm at the center bulk of that army. High Templar going to get picked off before it has an additional Psystorm, and ranged attack force slightly split. And by slightly, I mean 1 Dragoon migrated to the north. He's going to go ahead and stage up, try to grab that third base. The Hydros continue to press in, recognizing a lack of Psystorm to support this army. But at the same time, Urbmon is down 20 supply. And range does have that +1 armor finish, so gonna lose some troops on evacuation. Those Hydralisks gonna just get back to the high ground. Ooh, some of them misrallied or mismoved right there, so the Zealots having the same issue opposite end. So a few of them getting picked off. The Corsairs trying to find something. It looks like some of them getting picked off as they're pressing their way through, and actually they're stopping here in the bottom right, which is opening up for the rest of them to get wiped out. Ranged really not babysitting them. I'm wondering if, I want to see if Urbmon queues up on that and like, okay, no anti-air defense. Dropping a 4th gas. He's got that 3rd gas up and running at the 6 o'clock. 3rd base is coming online for range, so it's going to be a longer macro game both directions. Right now, Urbmon up in supply, up in workers, however. +2 weapons has finished. Is he going to make his way towards Hive Tech once again? We do see a second evolution chamber dropping. I expect a Queen's Nest in not too long. Especially now that he's got that 4th gas, 4 gas, and you can start running some of that top tier, beautiful top tier tech that Zerg can field. Range regrouping has a few High Templar observers out there. Urbmon just holding midfield right this second. And Ranged walking up, going to eat a few lurker shots as he's coming. And honestly, Urbmon just in hold position doesn't need to really... Getting a free kill right there with just the units on hold position. Ranged trying to deny that 3 o'clock. Wants to deny that right-hand side of the map to Urbmon. It is 4 bases versus potentially soon to be 4. Which, if Range can hold it, would technically put him ahead. Right now, he's even in supply. Even on workers. Queen's Nest is finished. Probably going to see that movement to Hive Tech not too long. But Range looks like he's managed to sneak a big army to bottom right. If he dedicates this attack, because of this ramp... Ooh, he's going to catch maybe some drones as they go as well. That would be a big win. Unfortunately, he's walking right on... The Zealot's getting distracted and moving forward across that lurker line. So that's going to shred a lot of them. And just now trying to back up. But this is also giving time for Urbmon to respond. There's one initial Psystorm to try to help deal with that. And these Zealots have just taken a pummeling. Absolute pummeling. Yeah, they got completely obliterated out of that army. Which leaves Urbmon... And that might have been a critical mistake from Range right there. He's still got some Psystorm to abuse the lower ramp, but yeah, losing the Zealots to the Lurkers on that forward movement, he might end up losing the entirety of this army. Urbmon actually with the 1000 IQ play here, recognizing, okay, your army's trapped bottom right, you're holding position, you can't attack into me, so instead I'm going to wipe out your holdings. So let me go ahead and take out your third and find where your army's not and push things out. Great play from Urbmon. And this is forcing Range to attack now bottom right. Some reinforcing Zerglings being built to just occupy this attack force. Lurker's still there. The Observers to potentially provide some support, but the Zerglings are going to be able to wipe that out. And Urbmon might have taken the game with that one maneuver. So upper left, Range's previous third base wiped out. He does have another base top right, but I don't know how he's going to be able to get probes there. Lost a lot of probes in that attack as well. And Urbmon now taking a big swing in this match. Observer wiped out. Now he can go ahead and take bottom right at will. Range down 30 supply. And Defiler Mound's on the way. Adrenal upgrades as well. Things are just going to get harder from Ranged as the game proceeds. +2 weapons, +1 armor. I believe also equalizes the upgrade advantage. We'll try to... yeah. So upgrade advantage is actually there. And with double evolution chamber, Urbmon should be able to equalize that through the long term. So having 30 supply up is even scarier than it would normally be. And once Defilers hit the field, that could be a overwhelming swing. Kind of cool little bone thing. It almost looks like a turkey wishbone right there. Engagement in the middle. Bit of a Psystorm. Clearing out some Lurkers fanning out. Fanning out. Few Zerglings eating some electricity on their way. The Zerglings now being sent forward with that Adrenal upgrade to go ahead and damage the lines. They actually end up trading pretty well against Zealot, and yeah, just softens, draw them back to Lurkers, soften them up. The Zealot's getting wiped out in large numbers, and Range cannot afford to donate units. Urbmon, recognizing that he's got the upper hand, starting to press forward against this army. He's still got that Overlord spotting that Zealot, looking for Urbmon to start grabbing some expansions on top of this. Zealot trying to... Looks like he's going to go ahead and clear that 9 o'clock before anything else. Yeah, and clearing out a few additional troops. I believe this task force is making its way out to that 3 o'clock position to open up those bases. Range just now re-grabbing that third. The fourth is now saturated, dropping a bunch of photon cannons. He needs to get some robotics facilities at these locations ASAP. Building a shuttle as well, maybe to go for some storm drops in the midst of this. Gonna go ahead and walk in, grab the main. You can grab both of those bases. Some Lurkers making the way that direction as well. We do have a shuttle with a single High Templar and 3 Zealots to go ahead and go for a drop. Although, not gonna have a lot of drones here. This would be the prime target to go for, and there's a lot of anti-Protoss stuff there. Overlord gonna peek its way up, spot that base. We have another shuttle, so it's going to be multiple drops from Ranged. So Zealot's now dropping at the natural. Nice pull there of the drones ahead of this. Lurkers and the Sunken Colony should be sufficient. Going to reposition towards the main. High Templar drops, but is only going to be able to Psystorm some Hydralisks. I'm not sure how much Storm it's got left. And this is honestly disrupting bases that were already light in resources to begin with. The shuttle going to hold. It looks like the High Templar was picked off. Now going to go ahead and drop bottom right. Did manage to get there. Again, a bit of an empty Psystorm, just catching Hydralisks, which is not what he needed. Going to peel in with the rest of that army, though, to try to force a cancellation of this base bottom right. And I think this might be an overstep from ranged. One, he needs to do this. He needs to stop that base from going up. But on top of that, this could cause a counterattack from Urbmon, either at his natural expansion, at his main, or at any of his new holdings. And it looks like that is, in fact, what is happening. Zergling's now flooding top left. All of these probes certainly going to die. Another attack actually making its way top right as well. And if there's any form of Defiler support at either location, neither of these bases are going to survive. So Defiler, yeah, actually, we have a Defiler at both locations, just in the upper left, but this still looks like it's a sufficient enough attack force to go ahead and pummel top right. The army retreating, I don't think it's going to get there in time, even with the 5 cannons. Zerglings just shred this way too rapidly, although I might be speaking too soon. Urbmon is not dedicating, he hasn't moved the rest of that attack force in, but we have concentrated fire now on that Nexus. It looks like ranged, able to get there in the nick of time, but I don't think he's going to be able to save this additional base, especially with swarm support. Zerglings now, yeah, surrounding that. Going to be able to wipe it out in a hurry, so base still goes down from range that he needed. Good Psystorm around the Nexus to get some of the Zerglings cleared out, but that base that was trying to build top right also got wiped out by the Zerglings, and now Urbmon can clear out that single Zealot bottom right. He's still got a drone in position, actually, to go ahead and grab it. Distance mining for ranged. He's at a huge financial deficit. The upgrades continue to stack. Plague is on the way, which is just going to make things worse. The Zerglings repositioning out of that army's out of position. A single Hydral still at the top right, and they're going to filter in. Let's see if they focus that Nexus down. Going for that pylon initially, but that Nexus is not long for life. Fortunately, they're on attack. Well, they were on attack move. Never mind. That Nexus is gone. That should be GG from range. Trying to rebuild that Nexus bottom right. He's no longer mining at any location. He has to distance mine, and Urbmon can easily take additional bases. He's not mining at the 6 o'clock, nor his main or his natural, actually. Urbmon a little bit light on resources, but he got a big bank to go ahead and rebuild, grab the 3 o'clock and everything at other locations, and in a much better position to make that happen. Once again, moving in some Hydrals to get focus fire. Also Urbmon at a massive supply lead. We've got a bit of an army left for ranged. He just doesn't have a place where he can throw it and stay alive. That's what it comes down to. Gas and base being taken bottom right. Yeah, moving up, finding the bulk of an army at mid position. Distance mining at what was his third. Bit of a mirroring group. Urbmon trailing, it looks like, Psystorming his own observers, all of his own observers, which is not the play. Plague, fortunately, only catching the Archons right there. Some drones making the way. That would have been a prize for range had he been able to wipe them out, but not able to do so, and that was wise on Urbmon's part to move. But this is a lot of Archons. So I gotta say, that sometimes can be a swinging... something that can swing the game is just this volume of Archons, and especially when they're fully upgraded. And it looks like they are heavily upgraded. Unfortunately, Archon versus Hydralisk is not the engagement you want, because they can kind of peck and move. They got that little bit of range to go with. And this is not the... usually you want this when you have an overwhelming amount of additional stuff, and Urbmon just going to regather. Yeah, and start slicing away at that shield. Range's Psystorms have been pretty solid all series long. But honestly, with this drone transfer going bottom right and this base now in operation for Urbmon, that should be it. Should be sufficient. And now it's kind of the downhill walk. Range trying to sneak a base at the 9 o'clock and hope that Urbmon doesn't have the wherewithal to go ahead and check and engage. But honestly, Urbmon could take the entire right-hand side of the map. In the midst of this, he has a very mobile army that is highly upgraded and extremely deadly and efficient. And he's nearing 200 supply, and he's still got a lot of gas to work with. The guy at 6 o'clock still has some stuff to work with. This is just now, we got a dancing Hydra. Let's do a little bit of disco behind the extractor. He does need to move these drones here. Zergling absorbed at the very least that was trying to scout there. Secondary attack from range, hoping to get something done at the main. Urbmon with the nice reposition. Going to be able to take out, thin the herd of Archons. and a drone, I believe, being sent out to go ahead and grab that base to the top right. Ranged, well, maybe with these Archons, he's going to at least be able to get this base up. So he'll be at technically 1 base versus 1. So, or 2 base versus 2, which theoretically puts him ahead, actually. But if Urbon takes this and anything else and gets some damage done on top of this, with the massive supply lead he has, it should be okay. Some Lurkers getting obliterated by Psystorm, but the Archons also being felled. And this is still a large standing Hydralisk army. Range going to GG right there, recognizing he can't defend any of his holdings. Urbon giving the GG. Back to ranged. Urbon takes the series, advances to the round of 8. I would not be surprised if range survives through the rest of the series. We'll have to see as he moves on to the final match. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you for listening.